olive oil in the refrigerator, is that okay?
Yeah, no, that's okay too, because there's no enzymes in that olive oil, so there's nothing that can break it down. So it's a fairly stable.
Why is that?
Yeah, they filter all the lignans out, except for the oil that we sell here. Most of all of the lignans have been filtered out of it. Yeah.
So that olive oil needs to be refrigerated once you open it?
No, this oil has a pressing date on it. It has to be used within a certain time.
Okay.
And that's how oil was sold in years gone by. But today, most all the olive oil is completely devoid of any enzymes and this sort of thing. And it's not, yeah. So actually, you can, in your dish, bring a little bit of olive or something into the dish actually, and you'll bring a bit more enzyme into the dish. You might need to bring something that has lipase in it. If you're making a dish that has olive oil in it, then you should bring something into that dish which has lipase. What is lipase? It's the fat splitting enzyme. So if you have olive oil in a dish, that's very important that you're going to bring lipase into that dish, because the oil really doesn't have much lipase. We're going to be talking about things like this, Lipase. So we wash. Let's go back to this sinks again. We wash and then we rinse and then we sanitize. And the sanitizing sink could be 170 degrees. Things could be just dipped there for 30 seconds, or you could actually have some chemical in there, and it could be a chemical sanitizing. You could have the 50 parts per million, so it's half an ounce of bleach per gallon, and you could sanitize that way. So these sinks, they should have a space underneath them that they fall into as they go into the plumbing of the building. There should be an air gap. So the sink should fall into something that collects, and there should be an air gap with the piping. Why is that? Because of backflow. We don't want any cross-contamination within each sink from one sink to another, and we certainly don't want any contamination from plumbing of the building. And so this is health code. You should absolutely make sure that if you actually really are working in a certified kitchen, that your kitchen has a system where it has a drain trap underneath the sink, each sink. So we have 4 drain traps. We have a drain trap under each sink, and then we have a major drain trap that all the sinks drain into. So not anything is connected to the building in a way that if there was anything that would happen, something would flood up into the sinks and that sort of thing, and create a cross-contamination. Would it be okay to make soup and leave that soup out for 2.5 hours? No. No. Absolutely not. That's right, not really, no. Why is that? Why can't you make your soup and leave that out?
Because every 20 minutes at room temperature, the bacteria doubles.
Okay, because at every 20 minutes, once something has reached room temperature, bacteria that's within that soup doubles. Botulism, the source of botulism primarily is actually foods like garlic and onions and things like that grew in the soil. If you put that in a dish and then you left that dish out for about 4 or 5 hours, and you came back and you really had put a lot of time into that dish and you noticed that it just was left out, what do you have a feeling about? Huh? It's probably not good, no. It really isn't, I have to say. If you're actually serving food to people, you should really be mindful that actually that food really is not right. Botulism, certainly, it's a possibility that actually is in that food. Now, the food could be prepared in a way that actually has a little bit of apple cider vinegar and things like that, and you could have made a pH of it around about 4 of a dish, and then it's going to be protected a bit more, but time would pass by, and you know, our rule generally is that things should only be really left out at room temperature that's been prepared like that for no more than 2 hours total.
Like I live without a PhD, and I live on garlic.
Yes.
I stay away from people.
Yes.
Do they have idea I kill everything with garlic, bacteria, everything?
Okay.
Like if I have bunch
But
of
yes, but garlic
I'm
is
safe.
garlic is a great antibiotic, a herbal antibiotic. But it's amazing because brain research shows that when someone does garlic, it generally causes the brainwaves less than to be coherent.
Kind of like, well, it's like.
Also too, the ancient people all said to stay away from garlic. They all said to stay away from garlic, and the reason why was because they said it was very stimulating and irritating to the mucous membrane, which I know that it is. There could be some benefit that we get a bit from doing garlic, but actually it's what's called a rajasic food in the Ayurvedic system, and it causes people to sort of like feel that they need to get the yayas or
I just have in my mind, if I have like lower garlic, I'm safe
yes.
from everything.
Yes, but possibly might replace that and have a little bit of rosemary. There's other things that you can do, which has even maybe more powerful benefit without having as much of an irritating effect on the mucous membrane and without having an effect on the brain waves. The Indians all said that, you know, a person wasn't worth much if they were actually doing garlic. They weren't really worth anything much. They couldn't focus their mind, and they felt kind of like, you know, doing something sort of thing, you know, had to sort of do something. And then there could be various things that actually had to have the person sort of create a brain coherence, and so there could be a little bit of rocking and all sorts of things actually. Garlic is a really less than excellent for brain waves, and it's really irritating to the mucous membrane.
What kind of, what happens to your brain waves?
The brain waves, what they noticed was that people who were doing brain research, that people who ate garlic at lunchtime, when they came back for the experiments, none of these people had any coherent brain waves, and they didn't know why the reason was for that. But it happened over and over again, and it happened only was with some people, and it only occurred after lunch. And so they just thought to themselves, something these people were eating for lunch, or in their lunch, was actually the cause of this, and they tracked this down to garlic.
What does that mean, though, coherent brain?
Incoherent?
Well, I
Okay, good
understand
question.
the word coherent, but...
Okay, incoherent means that the brainwaves were less than integrated and flowing in a fluid state, but was sort of like a bit more sort of, you know...
Garlic kind of stirs them up,
Yeah,
like maybe
see when one hemisphere functions and the other also, you know, and the both of them come together like this and they create a really greater amplitude of electricity. But when one's sort of going like this and the other one goes like this sort of thing, you know, they don't mesh together. So there's not much coherency.
So does that have to do with kind of like the two sides of the brain?
Yes,
Not
the
being
two sides of
able
the brain
to-
actually functioning, and that when people do garlic, it sort of creates a little bit of
That's so
incoherency.
weird.
Yeah.
Like, is there any reason why?
It's an amazing thing that if you ate a little bit of mouldy rye, it's possible for people to act like they have LSD.
Huh.
You'd be very surprised, matter of fact, that pizza is a drug and does affect people's consciousness, like a drug does.
That seems to be why people like certain food.
Oh yeah, absolutely it is. It's one of the major reasons.
Does
Does it?
one have the same effect as garlic?
To some degree, but not quite as much. Well, I don't really use much garlic, although he has garlic in some of the recipes and this sort of thing. I really don't use much garlic, but some people, they love garlic, you know, and my God, you know, they love garlic. They really love garlic, my God. And so, you know, a little garlic, that's all right, my God.
I was told that if you take a piece of
garlic,
Yeah.
if you would put it underneath your skin, you could die from it.
That's right. You sure can. If you strap a little bit behind the back of your ear for 24 hours, you'll be shocked actually when you have a look at what's happened there. That's what happens in the intestinal tract. It's
What
very
happens when
irritating.
you put it behind your ear?
You'll get inflammation, major inflammation behind your ear where that was taped to the skin. Yeah. So it's a poison, and it works in a way of a poison a bit. And it's incredible because when people first taste garlic or smell it, most people are sort of repulsed by it.
But the garlic, you can take all parasites from your body. This is what too.
Yeah, but it doesn't get rid of mold and fungus and yeast, and it gets rid of bacteria, and it gets rid of the forces which eco-sterilize against mold, fungus, and yeast.
It has a benefit, but it's more like a pleasure, like because
Yeah.
I love the taste of
Yeah,
garlic.
that's
It's
right.
medicine. It's medicine. Like in Russian books, it was medicine.
Yes, but lots of medicines that have been can have some other effect also. You know, like they often say, this will get rid of your headache, but it could cause, you know, a bit of bleeding rectally. You know.
Yeah.
Is there anything that gets rid of mold, fungus, and yeast?
Does anything get rid of mold, fungus, and yeast? Absolutely. There are things which are anti-mold, anti-fungus, and anti-yeast. That's right. And antimicrobial as well. Yes. Well, we have various herbs and things that one can use. That's anti-mold, anti-fungus, and anti-yeast. We have a great herbal formula that you can bring these herbs into food. So we're going to talk a little bit at some point really a bit more about herbs and that sort of thing. But let's now finish this food protection sort of area that we've really been talking a little bit about right now. We need to really wrap this up and go on over to the kitchen. So now we definitely are aware that we couldn't leave soup outside the temperature danger zone. And the temperature danger zone is again?
41 to 140.
41 to 140 degrees. Could not leave food outside in this temperature danger zone for more than 2 hours. Every 20 minutes it ticks by, the bacteria doubles. Right. Okay. So would that be all right that I can wipe up things with my apron?
No.
No. Okay, as a life food chef, really make sure that you're really not, I mean, you really keep your apron as clean as you can. It's like a mechanic or anyone. Something that we will always do, and I just pride myself to do this, and that I've run many kitchens, and I've prepared food for thousands and thousands of people, and I've worked with sometimes 40 people actually on the staff preparing food for people. And every single job afterward, and as the person went, was completely cleaned up. So you were not working over the top of anything. When you complete one task, everything is done with that task, and everything is put away, and everything is done. And so you always run your kitchen this way. So when you sit down to eat, or so people would sit down to eat, there is nothing to do. And that it's wise to run your kitchen this way. There is no washing to do, there's no putting in pans or anything away, nothing. Everything is done. Why? Because it was done as it was, as everything was worked with. So now that's very important because most people actually work in a situation, especially in the city here, where space is a premium. And then most kitchens are designed, and the restaurant owners and people like this, they haven't thought of, oh, let's make a big spacious kitchen and we're going to have all this counter space and all this sort of thing. It's generally they're thinking in terms of, oh, how many more seats can we fit in there, and what size the kitchen has to be, sort of thing. So you want to be very efficient with your workspace. And personally, you don't need a big space, you need more of a galley style. Okay, so our life food chefs generally love galley style kitchens. Why? Because all you need to do is to be working here, and you turn around and you get something here, or you just to take one step here to get something here, and you bring it here like this. And so if you work in more of a galley style kitchen, you can get a lot more done. If you're working in a big kitchen with big lots of